Give me another beer, dude. Give everyone another beer. Let's party, guys.
I think you've had enough, don't you?
Hey, listen. Is it supposed to taste the way it does?
Gopaline stout is brewed from the finest chemicals in the world. I'm sorry, but the pump appears to be broken.
I could fix it for you.
I don't think so. This is a job for a professional electrician. Oh well, at least the glass washer is still working. It's not my day, is it?
It just so happens I'm an electrician. Check out my credentials.
Well, now, isn't that marvellous? Here's a house bedevilled with faulty wiring of a wayward nature. Here's you, an electric man, with a little plastic card to prove it. I still want to see what you can do before I let you touch me beer pumps. You can make a start on the glass washer. And when you've finished that, will you take a look at the pumps?
I couldn't see anything obviously wrong with the machine. I figured it must be the wiring. I used all my knowledge of electrical engineering to examine the plug. It was an electric glass washer. It looked even older than the barman. It was an electrical plug attached to the glass washer. I replaced the fuse with a piece of wire. I knew it was dangerous, but I was desperate enough to disregard everything I knew about standard safety precautions. Excuse me, Mr. Leary. I fixed your glass washer, no problem.
Bingo! And a blessing to all the saints. A free half-pint to that man, on the house. Now, could you take a look at the beer pumps?
Well, I guess so, but I'm not making any promises.
If you can't fix them, I'll have a riot on me hands.
The pumps are in the cellar, right?
That's right. You'll find a flashlight down there somewhere.
I pushed the lever and heard the grating of metal, but nothing appeared to happen. It was impossible to return the switch to its original position. I lifted the trap door, and an overpowering smell of stale beer rose from the cellar below. I looked down on a stone-tiled floor, way too far to jump.
Excuse me.
There was a nasty feeling in my guts I usually associated with light opera. It was Khan. What's the problem?
Did you see what happened here a few minutes ago?
What was that?
A man was involved in an unfortunate accident.
I didn't see anything.
What about the boy?
He doesn't know anything either. The kid, well, you know how it is in these rural communities. Not enough genes to go round. I prayed McGuire had the sense to keep his mouth shut. Was the guy hurt bad?
He's been taken care of, but he thinks he dropped a small parcel. You didn't happen to find it, did you?
If I had, I would have taken it to the police.
Of course. Thank you.
Hey, McGuire.
What?
Have you ever seen this man before?
What a slimy cat.
See you later, kid.
Okay, mister.
Now I could see. I spotted Mr. Leary's flashlight easily. Then I noticed a flash of light, something sparkling beneath the open trap door. It was Peagram's gem, all right. A large, uncut blue stone. I guess I was already under its spell.
Did you find it?
What?
Whatever you was looking for.
Yeah. Listen, McGuire, I want you to keep this to yourself.
No problemo. Just chuck us up a crate of lager.
No way, you're not old enough.
We can sell it and make some cash.
Forget it, kid. I couldn't betray Mr. Leary's trust.
I could, for sure. That old misery guts deserves it.
If you want to do me a favor, keep a lookout for that guy in the suit.
Okay. But it'll cost you a packet of chips.
Oh, and shout if you see that Ferrari. The faucet creaked, coughed, and spewed out a stream of rusty-colored water. I held the towel under the faucet and soaked it with water. I shut off the faucet as tight as I could, but it kept on dripping. Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
Look, I gotta be going. Hi, do you speak English?
Well, now, what if I was to say no? An implication of cognizance shrouded in denial. A pretty poser of a paradox indeed.
I gave him the look I'd perfected when I was 12 and was going to be the greatest hypnotist of all time. It was a killer.
Are you attempting to hypnotize me, or is it the constipation you're suffering?
I was a little out of practice. What can you tell me about the castle?
Not much, I'm sorry to say. Most of its history is long forgotten. Ah, but if these old stones could only speak, what stories they'd tell. Stories to make your toes curl and your blood run cold. You know, this castle is said to be over 600 years old.
Have you seen Professor Pegram?
No, he's packed up and gone.
Do you happen to know where?
Back in England, I suppose.
Did you happen to see a red sports car down on the road?
I caught a glimpse of a flash of red on the hill and heard the racket. Sure, it was an awful noise. A sports car, you say?
A Ferrari, to be exact.
A racing car? And what was it doing here? The poor fella must have been lost.
The driver of the Ferrari was involved in an accident.
Is that so?
Yeah, he knocked somebody down outside the bar.
What an idiot! How could a thing like that happen?
He was traveling too fast.
So fast, he ran right under the car?
I mean, the car was traveling too fast.
But you'd have thought the idiot could have heard it coming.
Maybe you know the guy who was hit by the Ferrari. His name is Sean Fitzgerald.
Oh, I know him all right. That's me nephew, the idiot responsible for the stacking of my hay cart. Was he killed by the car?
Oh, no, but he has been abducted.
Well, that's a relief now.
Aren't you going to look for your nephew?
What for? From what you say, it's too late.
Well, you could report the matter to the police.
Better not. Besides, what could they do?
Well, they could mount a search.
They have only the one bicycle between them. In a question of superior acceleration, I'd put me money on the Ferrari.
I think you ought to know exactly what Sean has gotten himself into.
I'm not sure I want to know.
But you're his uncle. His own flesh and blood.
You're right, but what can I do? If I'm not here to guard it, some idiot might try to climb the haystack. What a moral dilemma. Stay here and guard this potentially lethal agricultural construction, or to go off in search of the prodigal nephew, the very man responsible for said hazard? It'll need some thinking about.
Why, there's no problem.
You're right. Why didn't I think of it before? We'll demolish the haystack.
You don't have to demolish the haystack to go look for Sean. I'll stay here in your place and warn anyone who's silly enough to climb it.
Marvellous! I think I should start me inquiries in the bar.
He strode off in the direction of McDevitt's bar, leaving me to contemplate the stack of hay. The stack of hay stopped short of the top of the wall. Even if I stretched as far as I could, the wall was out of reach. What I needed was a slice or two of Alice's Wonderland. I inserted the end of the lifting key in the mortarless crack and gave it a firm shove. It remained lodged in the wall, jutting out to form a step. The lifting key was rammed tightly into the crack in the wall, forming a strong foothold. The rope by which the goat was tethered had become tangled on the old plowshare. I placed my fingers and thumb into the holes in the wall. Nothing happened. The statue was too heavy to lift. It overbalanced into the sand. As I swung the stone upright, I noticed it had left a pattern of holes in the sand. The 5 fingers on the back of the statue had left their impressions in the fine sand. I tried in vain to move the panel. As I dipped my fingers into the soft white powder, I realized what it was. Plaster of Paris. I'd used it in kindergarten to make casts of animal paw prints. I sprinkled the plaster on the sand until the holes were filled. I smoothed the plaster level with the sand. It was my first experience of home improvement. The patch of sand where the statue had fallen was covered with a dense sprinkling of plaster. The trickle of water was quickly absorbed by the plaster. I eased the solid piece of plaster from the sand. Underneath, it had formed a perfect copy of the statue. The plaster cast was a pretty neat replica of the back of the stone, complete with protruding fingers. The hardened plaster cast fitted snugly into the 5 matching sockets. There was a soft thud, then silence.
There wasn't anyone that I needed to call. I had messages waiting to be played.
You have 3 messages.
Hey, Collard, it's me, your favorite editor. Guess what? I'm gonna give you a second chance. I need somebody to write the TV column. Pays lousy, so what's new? If you're interested, drop by the office. In fact, drop by the office anyway. We have to talk, Nico. That story of yours I spiked. It won't go away. You've made some dangerous enemies out there.
Hey, Nico, it's your old pal. I mean, your new pal, George. Whoa, Ireland. It's a whole different country. And I got some amazing news for you. Gem of a story, in fact. Oh, gotta go. Yeah, fella here's got a drink lined up for me. See you tomorrow, Nico. Slàinte. Yep, only here for a day and I'm speaking the lingo like a local.
Mademoiselle Coulard, this is Imelda Carchon. I wanted to thank you for being so understanding when... Come to lunch, why don't you? Tomorrow. I might have more news. There's a Monsieur Merlon coming to see me this evening. He says he knows why Pierre was murdered. In fact, he'll be here shortly. I shall let you know what he says. Goodbye, dear girl. Till tomorrow.
Merlin? Oh my God. Merlin's the killer. I better get over there and warn her now. When it came to being two-faced, Imelda was up there with the best. I owed her nothing, but I couldn't just let her die. I arrived to find the Palais Royal courtyard deserted. I only hoped that I'd beaten the assassin here. I had to warn Imelda before it was too late. The intercom system wasn't working. Bad sign. Somebody had cut the wire. Locked? No way was I going to break through a door like that. That broken window looked like the best way in. Fixed tight, presumably to stop critics stealing it. Who else would want to? I unhooked the first wire. I released the second wire. Even with both wires removed, the statue remained upright. If I could deconstruct this, I could deconstruct anything. The plastic sheet was thick and strong. I'd need more than my hands to tear it. No. No. My God, I'm too late. Imelda. Oh no.
Nico?
Don't worry, you're going to be all right.
You know that isn't true.
It was Merlin, wasn't it?
Dressed as a cavalier. How absurd. You came to warn me, didn't you?
I must be crazy.
Let me see you, Nico.
All this time you were just using me. Which one is the real Imelda?
You are an extraordinary girl. Thierry would have been so proud of you.
You didn't know my father.
So like him. Something about the eyes. I wish we'd had time to get to know each other.
She was gone. She cheated me, lied to me, used me. But why? Even in death, Imelda looked the same. Beautiful, inscrutable. The Ice Queen alone in her ice palace. I opened it. Inside was a tiny gold key. I took the key. I had to leave. I knew I could never return. There wasn't anyone that I needed to call. It was the key from Imelda's locket. My first teddy. Never had a boyfriend as loyal as him. Undisturbed. No bugs there. In the dim light, I caught the reflection of something metallic. A small, sinister-looking metal disc had been tucked under my father's box. It was a bug. Oh, chère cousine, you left me a little present. You shouldn't have. You don't scare me. Espèce de... The box was carved by my father. It never had a key. The elephant on the lid was a perfect match to Cochon's. I took out the key. I couldn't believe it. Imelda's key opened my father's box. I dreaded what I was going to find inside. It was a photograph of Imelda. But why here? In my father's box? I felt as if a black hole had swallowed me up. Imelda and Canchon grinning. While behind them a village was being razed to the ground. Its people butchered. And there, next to them, staring out at me across the years, my own father. There was a letter. I feared there was even worse to come. Hotel St. Georges, Algiers, Friday. My darling Thierry, by the time you read this, you'll be safely out of Africa. You need not fear. Pierre and the organization do not know who you're really working for, or about us. Did you think I would betray you? I could not. You wanted me to leave him, but I don't have your courage. I know too much of what has been going on here. They would find me and they would kill us both. Enjoy your life in Paris, Thierry. Your life of honor, of patriotic duty. Do they give medals to spies? No, they'll just give you a funny job in an embassy somewhere. I could never share that with you. Imagine me, a diplomat's wife. So I must stay here with Pierre, the two of us bound together by what we have done to this country. Au revoir, my love. You will be in my heart until I die. Imelda. Suddenly everything made sense. My father had been working undercover for the government. He was one of the good guys after all. He and Imelda must have fallen in love. She'd found out who he really was, so he had to leave. It had broken her heart, but she had never revealed it to anyone. I knew I couldn't either. Whatever he was doing, he'd had good reason to keep it secret. I decided I would respect that and tell nobody. I knew it was George. For a moment I was tempted to pretend that I was out, or ask him to go away and come back later. But then... Come in.
Hello, George. So, where did you stay last night?
At McDevitt's. I got to drinking with Doyle and a couple of the guys.
That explains why you look so ill today. Did you get any sleep at all?
Not much. I had to share the room with another guy.
Did he snore?
Hardly. He was dead.
And you say Pigram has disappeared?
Without a trace. But my visit wasn't a complete waste of time.
Pigram's gem?
The Templars' gem. Whoever Jacques Marquet is, he's in for a disappointment.
Jacques Marquet?
He's the guy who should have collected the gem from Fitzgerald.
What are your plans?
I want to find out who, what, or where Montfaucon was. All I've got to go by is the name and a picture of a hanged man. Let's take another look at the manuscript. There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod. There's a guy working on a loom. A knight with a crystal ball. The knight's scroll bears a phrase in Latin. Through my teachings, you will be enlightened. There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces.
Look there, 2 guys on the same horse. What are your plans?
I want to find out who, what, or where Montfaucon was. All I've got to go by is the name and a picture of a hanged man. Do you want to look after the gem?
No, George. I'd be too tempted to sell it.
I can't sit here all day, much as I'd like to.
Okay. Don't forget to look for Lobinot at the Kron Museum. And why don't you see if XoXo has heard anything?
Okay. Anything else I can do for you while I'm out? Shopping, a trip to the laundromat?
Just take care of yourself.
I so much wanted to talk to George about everything that had happened, but I knew I never could. My father's connection to Africa would have to remain a secret forever. His bravery would be known only to the government and to me. Revealing it would just damage his memory. People would take the story and twist it. Before long, he would be the villain and Carchon would be the hero. I know how they do that. I'm a journalist.
Sergeant Moo?
Yes.
I'd like to report an assault.
Yes, monsieur? Where is the victim?
I'm the victim. I've been harassed by a pair of thugs.
I see. And where did this alleged assault take place?
Outside the Hotel Ubu. They stopped me as I was leaving and went through my pockets.
Could you describe the suspects, monsieur?
One looked like a gorilla, and the other looked like a weasel. Their names are Flap and Guido.
Bon. I'll get them this time.
Have you heard of a man called Marquet?
Yes. He used to be known as the Mole of Montmartre. I heard he's been hospitalized, probably by one of his rivals.
Which hospital was Marquet taken to?
The Hagenmeyer Clinic, in the Avenue des Hérissons.
Why was Marquet known as the Mole of Montmartre?
Because he lived in Montmartre, I suppose.
Yeah, but why the mole?
I don't know. Maybe he ruined people's lawns.
Do you know a man named Khan? He's a shifty-looking guy with a scar on his left cheek.
No, monsieur.
He also calls himself Thomas Merlin.
I'm sorry, Monsieur Stobart. I don't know him. Has this man any connection with the bombing of the cafe?
Yes. I believe Khan was the name he used when he hired the clown costume. No way. Did I show you this photograph, Sergeant?
Yes, monsieur.
Maybe not. See you later, Sergeant.
No, monsieur. No et no.
Okay. This is ridiculous. I could be here for hours.
Watch out! You'll have that done on top of us!
I felt a little guilty as I tried the door, like I was about to rob a grave. I gripped the handle with an involuntary tremble in my hand and pulled. The door was locked. Hi, my name's George Stovard.
Really? If you wish to make an appointment, see the receptionist.
I'm looking for a guy named Jacques Marquet.
In which department does he work?
He doesn't. He's a patient.
I see. You do realize there are strict policies regarding visiting hours, don't you?
This is important. I have to talk to Marquet urgently.
We make no exceptions to the rules.
It's a matter of life and death.
The well-oiled running of this hospital is a matter of life and death. That's why we have rules.
I think I ought to warn you that Marquet is not what he seems.
Explain yourself.
He's in league with a bunch of guys who want to take over the world.
Nonsense. Besides, Marquet's employers have paid in advance for one of our most exclusive private rooms.
Could you tell me who Marquet's employers are?
Certainly not.
Thanks for your help. Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
Is this the Hagenmeyer Clinic?
That's correct.
I thought I was in a garden center.
Oh, the plans. They were my idea. A little greenery to evoke the spirit of nature. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Jacques Marquet.
Oh, yes. Are you related to our client, sir?
No, I'm conducting a private investigation.
Then I can't help you.
So, do I get to see Marquet before the funeral?
That attitude will get you nowhere. My instructions were quite clear. No one gets to see Marquet. So unless you can prove you're a relative or a close acquaintance, you're wasting your time here.
Has Marquet been visited by a man in a clown costume?
Oh, no.
You haven't seen a man in disguise?
Well, there's Theodore the Bear. He comes every Thursday to entertain the children. Personally, I think he scares them half to death in that crummy old bear suit. If I was stuck on my back with tubes in every orifice, he's the last person I'd want to see.
Has Marquet had a visit from a pair of gangsters?
I should hope not. Can you describe them?
A thin guy who looks like a weasel and his friend, the gorilla.
Sounds as if they escaped from a zoo.
Have you seen this man here at the clinic?
No, sir. And I never forget a face.
Look at this ID pass.
So you're Merlin. Marquet's been asking for you.
For me?
Yes. He was shouting your name when they brought him in here. Now, let me see. He was on Ward B12, as I recall. Oh, he's being transferred to... Oh, dear. He's on Ward J2. That's Nurse Grendel's ward.
What's so bad about Nurse Grendel?
She runs that ward like a South American prison.
Keeping a well-disciplined ward isn't a crime, is it?
Well disciplined. In the discipline and punishment stakes, she'd whip the butt off the Marquis de Sade. Everything, I mean everything, is done to a strict routine. 6 o'clock alarm call, 6:10 bowel movements, and woe betide anyone who doesn't have a result. Those patients of hers are like Pavlova's dogs.
She sounds like a real nightmare.
And then some.
If Nurse Grendel is that bad, how come the authorities tolerate her?
She's like part of the furniture.
I was beginning to get the picture. This woman was jealous, with a big green capital J. How do I find Nurse Grendel's ward?
Down the corridor on the left, turn right at the senior consultant's washroom. Right again at the executive coffee lounge. Bear left past the administrator's sauna, and turn left at the end. That's J2. And good luck.
I'd like to shake you by the hand.
Don't be fresh, young man.
Thanks for your help, ma'am.
You're welcome.
As I turned the corner, I saw the source of the hellish noise which echoed through the corridors. It was an industrial polishing machine with an odd-looking guy in tow. Hello.
What's that?
I said hello.
Oh, hiya.
I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
That's what I thought you said. Don't look so down in the mouth. No matter how bad things seem, I never let life get on top of me.
Oh, yeah? What's your secret?
Why, it's easy. All you have to do is smile and whistle this little tune.
You know what? If you start whistling, I'll bust you in the teeth.
It's a deal.
Do you know where I'd find a patient called Marquet?
No, I'm not allowed on the wards with Mr. Shiny.
Have you seen any unsavory characters lurking about in the corridors?
No, sir, I haven't, but I've got nothing to worry about. What's that, Mr. Shiny? You'd take good care of the rascals, I'll bet you would. With a friend like him, I've no fear of oppressors.
It must be a great comfort.
He is.
Would Mr. Shiny be your polishing machine by any chance?
Please, don't call him that. He's more of a friend than a machine. I've had Mr. Shiny for 3 years, and he's never let me down once.
How come you got so attached to a polishing machine?
I asked you not to call him that. He's got a name, you know.
Yeah, Mr. Shiny. It's just that...
You think it's odd, don't you? I don't mind. The rest of the staff think I'm twisted. I heard them snorking behind me back when I gave Mr. Shiny his weekly pull-through.
Would you like to shake my hand?
Not until I've washed, if you don't mind, sir.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Who is it?
That's what I'm asking you. Have you seen him before?
How should I know? You haven't told me who he is.
Take a look at the photo.
Yeah, okay.
Now, have you seen him before?
No.
See you later.
Yeah, take care now. Hey now, you can't go in there.
How come?
I'm responsible for the contents of that cupboard.
As I tugged the plug out of the socket, the polishing machine coughed, spluttered, and died.
Mr. Shiny, what's wrong, pal?
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Oh, hi. Is this Ward J2?
Yes, sir. The patients are ready for your inspection, Doctor.
Thank you, nurse.
You'll need this, Doctor.
She gave me a long, narrow metal box and a stunning smile. Thanks.
Could you take a look at the client in bed number 3 now? His name is Eric Sopmarsh.
Do you have a patient named Marquet on this ward?
Oui, monsieur. He is in the private room at the end of the ward. He has been placed in strict isolation.
Why is Marquet in quarantine?
If you wish to know more, you'll have to speak to Herr Hagenmeier. All I know is that Marquet's room is strictly out of bounds.
Do you know who paid for Marquet's room?
No, of course I don't.
Preferential treatment like that must cost an arm and a leg.
That's not my concern, monsieur.
Do you have any clowns on the ward?
Why, yes, we do. A professional clown.
I'll bet he lightens the place up.
Hardly. Monsieur Boissy has been in a coma for the last 3 months.
What's wrong with Boissy?
He was involved in a very nasty accident. A silly stunt involving a unicycle. His current condition is due to post-traumatic shock. It's unlikely he'll ever perform as a clown again.
It's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, I don't.
Would you like to shake hands with me?
Well...
No, it's okay. Forget it. Thank you, nurse.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Doctor!
What is it?
You haven't taken my blood pressure.
Seems fine to me.
You're not doing it right.
Of course I am.
No, you're not. Dr. Monroe never did it like that.
I can't take a satisfactory reading while you're excited like this. I'll come back later.
Oh, Doctor.
What now?
You didn't finish taking my blood pressure.
Okay, let's try again.
You don't have the first idea what you're doing, do you?
I'll come back when you've recovered your manners. Pardon me, nurse.
Oui, monsieur?
What is this device?
It's for taking the patient's blood pressure, doctor.
Thank you, nurse.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Excuse me, sir.
Aha! Just the man. You must be the new boy.
Yeah, I must be.
Well, stop wandering about and make yourself useful. Bernie, come here, boy. This is Benoit, my nephew. Can I trust you to look after him? He is fresh out of medical school. It will open his eyes to see a real doctor on the job.
I'll bet.
Show him around. Let him see some real suffering.
Hi, my name's George Stobart.
Yes, sir?
So what's your name, kid?
Benoit. They call me Bunny.
Bunny? Jeez, and you don't mind?
Oh, I've gotten used to it.
Okay, Benoit, you're gonna help me.
Anything you say, sir.
Do you know anything about a patient named Marquet?
No, sir, I don't know much about any of the patients.
I've never met a doctor who admits that he's only human.
I'm only a trainee, sir. I'm sure I'll get the hang of things.
Do you know the nurse on Ward J2?
No, monsieur. This is my first day here. I can't wait to get my hands dirty. I was talking about treating my first patient, of course. I didn't mean I'd get my hands dirty with a nurse.
Shut up, Benoit.
Okay, sir.
Here, take this pressure gauge.
Thank you, sir. What do you want me to do with it?
Well, keep it safe until I think of something. Shake my hand, Benoit.
I don't think that's a good idea, sir.
How come?
Dermatitis.
I don't have dermatitis.
I do.
Follow me, Benoit.
I'm right behind you, sir.
Hello? Anybody home?
Who are you?
My name is Dr. Stobart, and I'm here to steer you down the rocky road to recovery.
Dr. Monroe said there was no cure for what I've got.
Your problem is you stayed in bed too long.
Are you sure you're a qualified doctor?
You better believe it. What's your impression of Nurse Grendel?
She's a very efficient young woman.
Efficient? You make her sound like a vacuum cleaner.
I've no complaints.
The woman in reception described Nurse Grendel as a monster.
Well, that's simply not true. She's quite strict, but that's her job, isn't it? You've got to have discipline in a place like this.
What can you tell me about Marquet?
He's the man in the private room, isn't he? That room was mine before I was tossed out like a common squatter.
Do you know what's wrong with Marquet?
They won't even say what's wrong with me. Tell me, Doctor, what's your opinion?
It's too early to say.
But I've been here for 3 months.
I'll come back later. Hey, Benoit!
Yes, sir?
Do you still have that gauge I gave you?
Ah, yes. What do you want me to do with it?
Use it on Eric Sopmarsh.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Stobart.
Bonjour, docteur.
Have you heard of a guy called Marquet?
He's in quarantine, doc. Right behind this here door.
Marquet is just the man I wanted to see.
I wouldn't go in there if I was you. He has anthrax.
I have to visit my patient.
What for?
Routine. I have to check he's still breathing.
What if he's not?
I'll sign the certificate and register his bed as vacant.
That's a cold and distant attitude to death.
Well, I've been institutionalized to the point of godlike aloofness.
The white coat suits you.
Thanks. Have you seen any suspicious characters on the ward?
Yeah, I have.
A gorilla and a weasel?
No. This was a tatty old bear.
How was the bear acting suspiciously?
Well, he was wearing a homburg.
Is that against the law?
No, but it's pretty weird for a bear.
Catch you later, officer.
Au revoir, doc.
Marquet?
Yes, I am Marquet. I've been expecting you.
You have?
Well, what are you waiting for? Get it over with.
I just want to know what I should do with the gem.
The Lahmar gem.
Yeah, right here in my pocket.
I thought you were one of the assassin.
Not me. I never inhaled.
So, you were sent in my place?
Yeah. You could hardly make the trip to Ireland in your condition. What should I do with the gem?
Deliver it to the Grand Master. Quickly tell him that I have found the tripod right here in Paris.
What, you have it?
Not yet, but it's being taken care of. I hired a couple of stooges with a flair for petty crime.
Would that be Flap and Guido by any chance?
You know them as for Klausner. He has gone off to Syria on a wild goose chase.
They have geese in Syria?
He has a theory about the location of the...
That's enough excitement for one day, Monsieur Marquet. What are you doing here?
Talking to this patient, of course.
Monsieur Marquet is my patient. If Herr Hagenmeyer was to hear that...
Okay, I'm going. I'd learned all I could from Marquet anyhow.
Ah, there you are, sir. I was just coming to look for you. I finished with your pressure gauge.
Thanks, Bunny.
What's that noise? It sounds as if someone's having a cardiac arrest.
It's all right. The doctor's in there with him.
Are you sure he was a doctor?
Oui, monsieur. He showed me his ID. It was Dr. Braille.
There's no Dr. Braille working here.
He's an imposter! The door's locked. Help me, officer.
Stand back, monsieur.
Hello, Georges.
I found Jacques Marquet.
Did he talk?
Yeah, he talked. For the very last time.
He's dead.
Yeah, killed in cold blood by a bogus doctor.
That's despicable. What kind of guy would pass himself off as a doctor and take advantage of a dying man? Was it Khan?
No, I don't know who he was, but it certainly wasn't Khan. He got away, out the window. Have you ever heard of the Hashi-Ashin?
No.
Marquet said that they were his biggest enemy.
His biggest enemy was the bogus doctor.
Don't remind me. That guy was evil. He had wild, staring eyes like a dead fish. I'll never trust a doctor again. Do you think the assassin was responsible for killing Marquet?
I don't think so. He could have finished him off the first time. Besides, Marquet would have recognized him.
He was pumped to the gills with sedatives. He wouldn't have recognized the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse unless they'd introduced themselves. Let's take another look at the manuscript. There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod.
Look there.
There's but the reflection. And the nights through my... I guess I'd better go back and talk to that weirdo.
Which one, Rosso or Sergeant Mou? Oh, but you're referring to Andre.
I'll let you work it out. I beg your pardon. Are you Andre Lobineau?
That's me. You want my autograph?
No. I was told you may be able to help me.
Help?
My name is George Stobart. I'd like your professional opinion.
Well, okay. Shoot.
Does the name Montfaucon mean anything to you?
Sure. It was the most grisly spectacle in Paris until the Revolution.
A public toilet?
Montfaucon was the place of execution for many thousands. A dark temple of death, with row upon row of arches, each one framing a grim exhibit. Scores of rotting corpses swung on creaking rope, while the crows devoured their flesh.
That explains the image of the hanged man. I found a reference to Montfaucon in Ireland, in a village called Lochmarn.
Lochmarn? That's where Pegram was digging.
That's right. He'd left the excavation before I arrived. Do you know Pegram well?
Not really. I met him at a conference. I would have liked to talk to him in depth, but I didn't have time.
When was this?
Oh, back in the summer, July, I think.
I'd like your opinion on a medieval manuscript.
Vraiment? Do you have it with you?
No, it's too fragile. And besides, there are certain people who'd stop at nothing to get their hands on it.
Intriguing. Do you have a copy of the text?
There isn't much. Only a few Latin phrases. I was kind of hoping you'd help decipher the pictures.
Without seeing the manuscript, that's a tall order.
Just tell me one thing. What does the image of two men riding on the same horse suggest to you?
The Knights Templar. Does the Templar seal appear on this manuscript? I'd love to see that for myself.
Can you tell me anything about the Knights Templar?
I sure can, Georgie. Soldiers, diplomats, mercenaries, monks, bankers, you name it, the Templars fit the bill. The greatest fighting force in Christendom, the militia of Christ.
Jeez. How did the Templars get their name?
From the building in which they set up their headquarters. The King of Jerusalem gave them part of a mosque on the Temple Mount. It was said to have been the site of the original Temple of Solomon. The order became known first as the Knights of the Temple, and later as the Knights Templar.
You're a mine of information, Andre.
Glad to be of help, Georgie.
How come the Templars became so wealthy?
There was a constant stream of new recruits to their ranks, many from noble families. They were required to swear a sacred oath of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So, their money, goods, and lands were donated to the order. The Templars soon held land in France, Scotland, England, Spain, most of Europe, in fact. The poor Knights of Christ became the wealthiest power in Christendom.
Is it true the treasure of the Knights Templar was never found?
Who knows? So little knowledge of what really happened remains. Or, if it does, the truth has never been made public.
What do you mean by that?
The Templars have attained mythological status, like the King Arthur of the Britons. There are people even now who say the Templars still exist.
Do you think that's likely?
No, not for a minute.
I think you ought to know that the tripod is going to be stolen.
The Lochman tripod? No.
It's true. I can give you a description of the thieves.
Before the supposed event has taken place?
I heard them planning the raid.
They're wasting their time. The tripod is protected by a state-of-the-art alarm system.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you. Why don't you loan the tripod to me for safekeeping?
Because I'd never see it again.
But don't you trust me?
It's not a question of trust, George. That tripod is hundreds of years old and extremely fragile.
I get your point. Have you ever heard of the Hashashin?
Why, yes. It was a radical Muslim sect whose name became synonymous with murder. It was formed in 11th century Persia, shortly before the Crusades.
At roughly the same time as the Templars.
Yes. They gave a new word to our language. Assassini. The assassins.
How did the assassins get their name?
From the legends surrounding the secrets of their initiation rites. A young man who sought to join the sect was given hashish until he drifted into dreams. He awoke to find himself in a fabulous garden with everything he could wish for. The freshest water, the most delicious food, the choicest hash, and the most delectable women imaginable.
Cool. Do you have the address?
I haven't finished the story. There was a price to pay for this taste of paradise.
Wouldn't you just know it?
The young man would wake the next day to find himself back in the real world. He was told that he'd been given a glimpse of the heaven reserved for holy martyrs. A heaven he would enjoy for eternity if he was willing to join the Hashashin.
How did the assassins operate?
Well, as I explained, the new recruits would be only too willing to die for the cause. They'd be instructed in the use of the dagger, poisons, and disguise. Then, the Grand Master of the sect would name an enemy of Allah.
And they'd stop at nothing to eliminate that enemy.
You got it. They were fearless and deadly.
Does the cult of the assassins still exist?
Take a look around at the world today. You tell me.
The manuscript is being looked after by a friend.
In Paris?
Yeah. Not far from here, in fact.
Well, just give me the address and I'll come round and take a look.
I'm not so sure about that. Maybe I should check with her first.
A female friend?
Yeah, she's a woman. This friend who has the manuscript?
Oui, the anonymous girlfriend.
She lives at 361 Rue Jarry.
Ah, I know it well. I'll drop by. Just as soon as I can.
Where was the site of Montfaucon?
To the northeast, near the Canal Saint-Martin. But there's nothing there now. The old gibbet was torn down during the Revolution.
Does the guy in this photograph look familiar to you?
No.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
Alamut is the name of the place where the Hashashin were based.
Where is it?
Somewhere in what used to be called Persia. I'm not too hot on modern geography, I'm afraid. The most recent map I have shows America as an English colony.
What do you make of this?
It's the biggest gemstone I've ever seen. Where did you get it?
From Professor Pegram's messenger boy.
Did Pegram find this on his dig?
Yeah, the site where this was found was a Templar castle. Do you think it could be part of the Templar treasure?
No, I shouldn't think so. You're not one of those crazies who think the Templars still exist, are you?
Well, I try to keep an open mind on the matter. I'd like to shake you by the hand, Andre.
Not now, Georgie.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
Attention! Please do not open the window.
Don't you think it's kind of stuffy?
Better stuffy than dead.
What's the problem? Fumes from car exhausts?
Not just that, monsieur. There's a new burger bar opened up across the street. The Laughing Buffalo.
So what's the problem?
They cook their burgers on a charcoal grill, and the fat falls on the open flames. The amount of organic compound and smoke particles released is astounding. Since they opened, local air pollution has doubled, and it stinks like a funeral pyre. That is why I keep the windows closed. Don't open it! Remember the burning cattle! It is closing time, Monsieur Lobineau.
Already, there just aren't enough hours in the day.
More than enough for me. I can't wait to get home and put my feet up.
Eh bien, see you tomorrow.
Good night, monsieur.
Quit fooling around, you moron! Get your ass over here and bring that flashlight. What the... Who's there?
Let's get out of here!
And when I woke up, I was at the police station. Luckily, I managed to persuade Rosso I was innocent.
Poor Georges.
What a mess. I bungled the whole thing.
I don't think so. You made a pretty good job of distracting those two crooks.
Yeah, but the killer got away with the tripod.
No, he didn't. He's not the only one who can dress up in costume.
You mean it was you who stole the tripod? Oh, hell, Nico. I could have been shot.
Those dogs are more likely to shoot their own feet.
I just wish you'd told me your plans. We're supposed to be in this together. But how come you dressed up like a pantomime cat?
Don't sulk, Georgie, please.
Oh, rats. And don't call me Georgie.
Oh, I really thought you'd be pleased. After all, we've got the tripod. Oh, by the way, I had a visit from André Lobineau.
Oh, yeah. I hope you didn't mind me giving him your address.
Not at all. It was lovely to see him again. He was over the moon when I showed him the manuscript. It's not often he gets that excited. He made a sketch of the knight's crest to take back to the museum. I believe he's identified the family who bear that crest.
I sure hope so. No way. I'd better get back to the quest. Excuse me, officer. Shouldn't you be off directing traffic or something?
You have seen the Parisian traffic, no?
Yeah, so?
I could direct the traffic. The most dangerous, the east side of Rome. Or I can sit here and enjoy the sun, the architecture, and the Sauvignon. Which would you choose?
Yeah, but I'm not a policeman. What happened to duty?
An excellent question, monsieur.
What do you know about the Knights Templar?
Les Templiers. Only that they were excommunicated in 1312 and hanged in their dozens within this very square.
Boy, what they teach in the police academy these days.
No, monsieur. I read it on that board over there.
Have you seen this man before?
No. Who is it?
I believe him to be an international assassin.
Oh.
Is that all you can say? Oh.
I did wonder if I should say that I believed you to be an international paranoiac, but it didn't seem polite.
Would you like to shake? I stopped myself barely in time. Electrocuting a cop would not have been smart. They'd rebuild the Bastille just so they could throw me in and throw away the key. I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
I had no desire to talk to the crowd. Hey, you with the balls.
Oui?
How did you learn to be a juggler?
Juggler? What is this juggler?
It's you. You juggle, that makes you a juggler.
No! I am a jongleur!
A jongler? What's that?
Mon Dieu! A jongleur is an artist, a master of the contragravitic aeroballetic mysteries. In centuries past, the courts of the crownheads of Europe had the jongleurs, witty, erudite men to whom the monarchs turned in their hours of need.
Wait a minute, wait. Let me get this straight. Our enemies are at the borders, plague ravages the land, and the peasants are revolting. Thank God we've got Chuckles the Jongler to throw his balls around. I don't think so. That juggling doesn't look so difficult.
Oh, it does not, does it not? Perhaps you feel you could do better, no?
I'll give it a try.
Be my guest.
I had no idea what I was doing. But this guy was obviously an idiot, so how difficult could it be? A lot more difficult than I thought. That's how difficult. Still, it was my big chance to be derided by complete strangers.
Not so easy after all, is it?
No, I guess not. I couldn't open it with my bare hands.
Hey, you! What do you think you are doing? Leave that cover alone. Now.
Sorry, no harm intended.
You stay away from that.
The juggler was good. Why he couldn't put that kind of application into getting a real job, I had no idea. Maybe he just liked dressing up like a horse's ass. Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Look, a red nose.
Ah, you are a clown.
A clown?
No. If so, you would be a much better jongleur.
For a moment, an idea capered around near the spotlight of my attention, but fell down the pothole of abstraction before I could focus on it. It didn't seem right to fry somebody's palm when they make their living with their hands. Look, a red nose.
Ah, you are a clown.
A clown?
No.
For a moment, but felt... What do you know about the Knights Templar?
Le Templier? Ah, the last Grand Master, Jacques du Molay, was burnt on an island in the Seine in 1314.
Wow. You're pretty well educated for a juggler.
No, monsieur. I read it on that board over there.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
You smoke?
No, I don't.
In that case, it means nothing to me.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I didn't have time to sit around. Excuse me, Father.
Pardon?
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Not at all, monsieur. It will be my pleasure to help you.
What do you know about the Knights Templar?
You have come to the right place, if that is your interest. Many of them were executed in the square outside. It was a disgrace to France.
Well, the Pope was right behind it, though.
Clement V was a man of mammon, not of God.
That's kind of forthright for a priest, isn't it?
You think so? It is hard to be sure what happened. It is so long ago.
How long have you worked here?
Hardly work, monsieur. This is a calling. I have been helping Father Flambert for nearly 6 months now.
I guess you don't know much about the history of this church, then.
Just a little.
You've got quite a shine on that candlestick.
Ah oui. Anything less than best would be an insult to the Almighty.
I guess so. I never thought of it like that. I've got a medieval tripod. How about this for a gem?
It is very beautiful, monsieur. And yet, I feel that there is an air of suffering about it.
I've got a red nose.
Oui, so you have.
There's grease paint on this tissue.
Oui, you are correct.
No way. Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. Around the base of the disc was a hairline crack. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. Well, I could have just taken the end off the staff, but I wanted to be sure what I'd be getting out of vandalizing a church, other than deported. A statue of a knight holding a staff and a scroll. The statue had any secrets. It was concealing them pretty well. A stone knight lay in full stone armor, blank eyes looking at the ceiling. Carrying all that armor around must have been hard work. A stone knight lay at the end of a row of 4. I wondered if this guy had died in combat. In comparison to its neighbor, it looked pretty plain. I didn't recognize the biblical story in it. I was a Sunday school dropout. A knight there in the company of his fellows. Biblical references engraved into the tomb edge to guide his way to the next world. I guess. I could see that what had at first seemed to be a fine engraved chasing on the scroll was actually writing. Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. Sounds pretty familiar to me. I didn't have time to sit around. I didn't have time. Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Does this grease paint mean anything to you?
A red nose, and now grease paint. You are sure you are not a clown?
Well, I was distracted by the idea again. Caper, caper, caper. Plummet. No. Gone again. What do you think of this?
It is a medical device, oui?
Feast your eyes on this.
Incroyable! Is it real?
I think so.
Some people believe that great gems always have curses upon them.
Oh, that's garbage. Although, now that I think about it, both of the people who had this before me disappeared in mysterious circumstances. And the guy who was supposed to get this was shot and then murdered in his hospital bed. Do you want it?
No, thank you.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Hello again.
Hello again, monsieur.
I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Have you seen this man before?
No.
Does this plaster interest you?
Well...
Forget it. Forget that I asked. This gadget is a sewer key.
I do not want it. Thank you.
Well, I'm not selling it. I just wanted your opinion.
It is hardly my area of expertise.
I've got a medieval tripod.
And my Uncle Claude has hemorrhoids. So what?
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I once read a list of low-stress jobs. It didn't include police work. Obviously, this guy hadn't read the same list. I once read a list of... It did... Obvious... Hello again.
Hello again, monsieur.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
Ah, you are a clown.
Do I look like a clown?
No. Although you juggle like one. Now, if I'd known you were a clown, it would have been amusing. And not a humiliation for you.
What do you mean?
Whoever heard of a plainclothes clown?
He had a point. So you're saying that if I juggle badly with a red nose, I'd be the king of comedy. But if I juggle badly without it...
You look like a pathetic loon. Oui, monsieur, you have it.
I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
I'd like to have another try at juggling, please.
You have gone on a crash course, perhaps?
No, I just had an insight into presentation.
Huh?
Allow me to demonstrate. The balls, please.
If you insist on completing your humiliation, monsieur.
Okay, now for my secret weapon. The juggler was speechless with rage. You could have mistaken him for a mime. And without a word, he collected his balls and left in a fury. Hey! You forgot one of your balls! Hey! But he didn't hear. Better still, deprived of his entertainment, the gendarme decided maybe he ought to do some policing for a change. I had no desire to talk to the crowd. If I wanted to get deeper into these catacombs, I was going to have to get onto that path. If the near edge hadn't crumbled away, I could have jumped it easily. The wall had flaked, and anything once written on it had long since gone. The inscription was hard to read, but I made out Templier and something about innocence. My medieval French isn't much, but the few words I understood seemed to say, "This is where the gallows used to stand." Maybe. The hook lay in a bed of chain. The wall had flaked, and anything once written on it had long since gone. The wall seemed in very poor condition. The inscription was undecipherable. The plaster had cracked and was falling away. I wondered why. There were 3 arches, each with an inscription. There were 3 arches, each with an inscription. A weird little boat lay tied up. I guess they used it to get maintenance crews around. Either that or the Phantom of the Opera was somewhere near. On the boat was a winching machine. The hook lay in a bed of chain. I pushed against the door, but it seemed to be locked. The door was a handsome piece of work. My medieval French isn't much, but maybe. There were 3 arches, each with an inscription. The hook lay in a bed of chain. It was time for some brutal destruction. Hey, that's hollow! I'd poked a hole in an historical site. If any archaeologists came by, they'd lynch me for this. There was some sort of mechanism hidden inside the wall, with a lever in the middle of it. Here goes. The secret door had jammed. I couldn't get through that gap. Boy, had I ever made a mess of that door. The door mechanism was trashed. It would take a blacksmith or an engineer to do anything with that. There was a crack in the wall. Through it, I could see a glimmer of natural light.
In the beginning was the end.
An end wrought by our enemies began our darkness.
In the end will be a beginning.
An end to our enemies heralds our new day.
Report. The military establishments are in flux. The end of the Cold War has left them with no clear goal and as obvious targets for budgetary cuts. We have successfully promoted a sense of betrayal in the upper echelons. They feel that the politicians have cast them adrift. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Good. Mademoiselle?
Governments are giving the corporations more respect than their own citizens. A groundswell of dissatisfaction and dissidence is growing. The corporations are becoming too large and complex for their own executives to control them. A blind belief in market forces is accelerating this trend the world over. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
The global population's belief in those that govern it has never been lower. We have inculcated a sense of immediacy and action over forethought and planning in all the major governments. They are acting on hasty decisions that cannot be completed or revoked without appearing foolish. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Excellent. The tired old governments are dying a slow death from their own incompetence and our machinations. Professor, where is the broken sword?
As we discussed last time, with the loss of the manuscript, our search is as a corollary hindered.
And as discussed last time, you have been furnished with a dramatically increased budget. What have you been doing with our money, Professor?
We are working on the principle that the Templars, that is to say, our predecessors,
Hold on. These are the Templars?
must have left a trail when they were hiding the clues to the sword of Baphomet's location. I have a small army of historians and archaeologists ferreting out that trail.
I trust these historians and archaeologists are more trustworthy than your friend Pegram.
Pegram was loyal. He tried to protect the Lochmarn gem when the Hashashin came near.
And failed. And don't call that Syrian maniac the Hashashin. He's an assassin. Plain and simple.
That's not what he believes. He actually thinks.
Silence! Do I have to remind you that we have a sacred duty? A trust? When Philippe attempted to destroy the Order, we lost the sword and our power with it. Now we have the opportunity to reforge it. But time is short. We need results, not petty bickering, not excuses. Now, Professor Baphomet.
Yes, of course. My apologies. We will find Baphomet and the sword, manuscript or no. We have already found another element actually within Paris.
Excellent. What is it?
Well, we're not exactly sure at present. Ha! But I have my best people working on it. You would do well not to criticize others, Eklund. At least I have not murdered one of our own.
Of course. That guy was the bogus doctor in the hospital.
Marquet was a liability. Eklund dealt with him on my orders.
I beg your pardon, Grandmaster. I did not mean to.
Have you any good news for us, Professor?
We already know 3 of the elements. We know that Klausner had obtained the lens before he vanished.
Where was he?
Syria. We know that he arrived, but after that, nothing.
The assassin.
I fear so. It's a shame. Klausner was a good operative.
This will be our last meeting in person until we locate the sword of Baphomet. I hope that I don't need to emphasize the importance of finding it. Without it, our endeavors come to nothing. With the sword reforged, we will have the power to sweep the stage of all opposition. The next time that we meet, it will be to become the princes of this world!
Wow!
There was a large circle marked out on the floor with a stump in the middle. Around the circle I could see words inlaid into the stone. On the circle's circumference were the Templar seal and 2 Latin phrases, Non omnis moriar and Clarior e tenebris. I shall not die completely, the brighter from the darkness. In the middle of the circle was a stump of stone, a shaft of daylight from the world above lancing down to touch it. The tripod's feet fitted neatly into the notches on the top of the stump. The light, falling from above, struck the gem and scattered in 5 neat rays. And each ray picked out a letter. Starting from the left, I could read M-A-R-I-B. Marib. Now all I had to do was figure out what the heck that meant. Nico, I've seen them.
Who?
The Templars. I spied on their meeting in the catacombs.
And you saw the Knights Templar?
I saw a bunch of guys masquerading as Templars. They're after something called the Sword of Baphomet. The bogus doctor was there, the guy who killed Marquet. The manuscript is the key, just as we thought. It shows the way to the broken sword, whatever that is.
And how does the assassin fit into all this?
He's out to stop them. These Neo-Templars, they're men and women in influential positions. Don't you see? Plantar was one of them. The assassin killed him for the manuscript, to stop them finding the sword.
But now we have got the manuscript.
Yes.
So, how do they hope to find the sword?
I don't know. They said something about a lens and a guy called Klausner who's gone to Syria. But they didn't seem to realize the significance of the very site of their meeting. You see, after they'd gone, I discovered a stone pedestal and a carved inscription. I set up the gem on the tripod, directly below a beam of light. The gem split the beam and lit the letters M-A-R-I-B.
Marib is a village in Syria. You're not thinking of going there yourself, are you?
Why not?
These guys are crazy and dangerous. That reminds me, you should leave the gem here.
Okay, what about the tripod?
I'll send it back to Andre, anonymously.
Do you think I should go to Marib?
Syria is a long way, Georges.
Hey there, young fella. Speak you the English? Speak you the Anglese? Parlez-vous anglais?
Yes, si, and indeed oui, and rather better than you by the sound of it. My name is Nijo. Welcome to my grand emporium of quality merchandise.
So, this is your stand?
Oh, yes, sir. Though stand does not begin to do it justice. The finest in this bustling metropolis.
This is a bustling metropolis?
Well, not per se, no.
How much are those books there on the shelf?
Have you any Syrian pounds?
I think I might have a couple of Irish pund.
Then they're too expensive for you, sir.
You speak very good English.
Thank you, sir. I learned from tapes that my uncle procured.
Oh, a language course.
No, sir. Jeeves and Wooster. Cassie, Fink, Noto, Aunt Agatha.
So, I'm correct in saying that the word Templar doesn't mean much to you.
Well, there was the Order of Knights who were wiped out in an Inquisition in 1312, I suppose.
That's them. What else do you know?
Just how much information do you think there is on a Trivial Pursuit card?
A what?
From the medieval edition. We had it on the stand a couple of years ago. Ask me what a feuter is. Go on, I know all this stuff.
Never mind. Okay, forget about the Templars for a minute. What do you know about knights?
Like the Crusaders, they came to the East on an insane and pointless mission. They sacrificed thousands of lives, including their own, for insensate pride. How anyone can find them romantic confounds me.
Have you seen this man before?
No, sir. I'm glad to say. Cold eyes.
Here, shake hands, Nijo.
I'd rather not, sir.
What do you make of this?
Well, beyond the obvious, very little. That pattern seems very familiar, though.
What do you think of this, eh?
Oh, sir. What a splendid plaything. One day, when I am rich, I am going to build a world-renowned collection of brightly colored balls.
Are you serious?
In deadly earnest. People will come from far and wide to see my...
Yes?
...collection. The Rockefellers and the Gettys can keep their hordes of so-called fine art. But answer me this. What good is a Picasso, I ask you, if you cannot bounce it off a wall?
You may have a point. So long, Nijo.
Toodle peep, sir.
Hi, Nijo.
Hello again, sir. And how may I help you this time?
Is that your father lurking in the back of the stand?
He is indeed. A roaring fellow. Ayub's his name.
You don't sound like you respect him very much.
Don't I? Not only do I respect him, I rather like him. For all his bluster, we get on very well.
That's not a very friendly cat you got there, Nijo.
No, sir. It is a very unfriendly cat.
Why do you keep it?
Oh, it's not mine. It just rests where it pleases. And today it pleases to rest there. As Kipling would say, it is a cat that walks by itself.
Fiercely independent.
And it smells.
So long, Nijo.
Toodle peep, sir.
As I didn't see the point of going all the way over there to get scratched, I stayed where I was. Hello. I was wondering whether you could help me.
Why, hi there, handsome. What can I do for you?
Hi, my name's George. I was just...
Well, it certainly is delightful to meet you, George.
I was...
My name's Mrs. Henderson, but you can call me Pearl, I'm sure.
Okay, Pearl. I was...
So nice to meet a friendly American face so far from home.
Pearl?
Yes, dear?
I was just wondering if you could help me.
Why, sure, precious.
So, tell me a little about yourself, Pearl.
Me? Oh, a gentleman's interest is always so flattering. Well, my husband and I run a greetings card company in a cute little place called Akron in Ohio.
Akron? Cute? Little? Have you ever heard of a group of knights called the Templars?
Sounds familiar. I remember. Dwayne had a book. The Holy Something and the Holy Something Else, I can't quite recall. I read a little of it.
And?
Seemed like a lot of hooey to me.
Is your husband around, Pearl?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, he is. Sorry to disappoint you.
Have you talked to the boy on the bric-a-brac stand?
Oh, you've met him? His name's Nijo, you know. Oh, he's just so cute, I could die. I'd love to bundle him up and take him back to Ohio.
He might not thank you.
I'm looking for something ancient, you know. Something to impress the folks back home. The poor boy was trying to do his best, but we still haven't found anything.
Do you know anything about medieval weaving?
I do a little needlework, but gosh.
It's okay. It was a long shot. Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
You're a philomonist?
Don't they have secret handshakes?
Oh, George, now you're teasing.
I liked her too much to zap her with the buzzer. I've got to go now, Pearl.
It's been a pleasure, George. Don't be a stranger.
How did this guy make a living selling useless old machine parts in the middle of nowhere? The stand was hawking ancient machine parts. Hi, I was wondering whether you could help me.
Why, sure, son. Always got time for a fellow American. The name's Henderson. Dwayne Henderson.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Henderson.
Hell, boy, I'm not in the office. Call me Dwayne.
Oh, okay. Dwayne? My name's George Stobart. I saw a medieval picture of a woman, royalty or nobility, something like that. She was looking in a mirror, but the reflection was of a man with 3 faces. What do you think of that?
I think you should be in therapy.
Do you think bulls have any significance around here?
Weird question, George. Nope, I don't think they have.
Do you mind if I ask you an odd question?
Okay, but I might not answer it.
Do you know anything about the Templars?
The Knights Templar?
Yep.
Nope. Nothing at all.
Well, you knew they were an order of knights.
What I know and what I say are 2 different things, boy. I haven't lasted as long as I have in this business without knowing that.
In this business?
Sure. The greetings card business.
Oh, please. Does the image of a knight holding a crystal ball mean anything to you?
Hell no. What would a knight want with a hunk of glass?
I don't know. That's the prob.
What's wrong, boy?
It's not a crystal ball. It all came together in my head. What the conspirators had mentioned losing. The strange perspective of the manuscript. It's a lens. Have you talked to Nijo?
Nijo? He's the youngster on that junk stand, right? Yeah, we've met him. He's a smart kid. Speaks 4 languages, and he's never had a day's formal education. He should go far. Kept trying to peddle garbage on us, though.
You're not going to find much worthwhile around here.
I know that, and you know that. But try telling Pearl. She reckons there's antiquities in them door stands.
You're a long way from home, Dwayne.
Could say the same about you, George.
Me? Well, I'm just sightseeing, that's all.
Without a camera? Kinda lags to come all this way and not take pictures. Mind if I take a picture of you, George?
What? Why? Ow! You could have warned me.
You don't mind, do you, George? The folks back home will be real interested.
What exactly do you do, Dwayne?
Didn't I say? Oh, I run a greeting card company. Yep, we're based in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland? Pearl said you're in Akron.
What was that?
Nothing. Just thinking out loud. Where is your wife, Dwayne?
Pearl? Oh, she's around, looking for bargains.
How long have you been married, Dwayne?
Hell, must be 30 years now.
Have you seen this man before?
Maybe. Where'd you get it?
I just picked it up somewhere.
Sure. I'm always picking up photos of complete strangers and then asking around.
Okay, well, I'll see you around, Dwayne.
Count on it, George.
In the still air, the smell hung around like bad smells do. Hi, what's your name, sir?
Hello, you buy kebab. Most good.
I'd value your opinion on this, sir.
La, you buy kebab. None?
What do you think of this?
Buy kebab? Come to eat?
Well, goodbye. Have a nice day.
Most good.
The stand had kebabs dangling from the canopy. As a marketing device, it lacked something. I figured going out into the countryside was a pretty good way to get lost. Does this mean anything to you?
Yes, carpets, yes?
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
Ah, give to me. A la mut.
Many beneficent greetings, my most fortunate possible friend.
Huh?
Are a traveler, yes?
Boy,